was.
I know.
So
All right. Welcome, everyone. I'll open up the November 20th, 2025 capital budget meeting at 6:01 p.m. I'll turn it over to Amber Roulette, our CFO.
thank you very much. Good evening, Council. I'm happy to be here with you guys on day 2 of 2026 budget deliberations. Tonight, we're going to look at the capital plan, the capital budget for 2026. So our agenda tonight includes a brief recap of adjustments made during day 1 of budget deliberations, followed by a presentation of the 2026 draft capital budget. So let's get started. So a summary of the adjustments from the proposed 2026 operating budget included a motion to add $10,000 to the Recreation Board contribution, increasing that annual contribution to $40,000. So unfortunately, Councillor Knight's not here, so he doesn't get to hear the result of my deep investigation into the numbers on the budget, the forecasted years, but he, I thank him for identifying an error in a formula that just, it doesn't impact the 2026 budget, but it will change a little bit of that 2027, 8, and 9 forecast years. However, Director Altina was correct in his assessment that in the planning and water departments, the revenue increase exceeded the expense increase. So that's why those budgets kind of looked a little wonky, but in a good way. So yeah, and then there's a decision tabled regarding the costs associated with the consultant fees for Council's 2026 to 2029 strategic planning session. So I'll talk a little bit about that. First, I'll just explain why the strategic planning matters. Strategic planning sets a clear direction for where Council wants the community to be over the next 4 years. Unlike operational planning, which focuses on daily work and service delivery, strategic planning looks ahead, identifies priorities, and defines what success should look like. It assesses our current state, establishes a long-term vision, and turns emerging trends into measurable goals. This keeps Council focused on strategic direction while enabling administration to deliver tactically through budgets, projects, and services. So one of the primary benefit for an internally facilitated planning session would be lower direct costs, as there'd be no additional cash expenditures to deliver if we used our internal resources. So benefits for consultant-led facilitation is the consultant brings an outside neutral perspective and a well-structured process using tools and techniques designed specifically for strategic planning. It allows senior administration to fully participate in the discussion and support Council's direction instead of trying to facilitate and contribute at the same time. The end result tends to be more polished and efficient with a clear, well-organized plan that reflects the conversations of those sessions. The estimated cost of $15,000 mirrors the internal opportunity cost of redirecting 3 to 4 weeks worth of administrative capacity. So about 1 to 2 weeks to prepare prior to the session and another 1 to 2 weeks to pull it all together and turn it into a report. So essentially it's the opportunity costs and the actual costs are kind of equal in that respect. So I think most importantly, it keeps our current priorities moving forward so we don't slow down other key initiatives in order to deliver the session internally. So in conclusion, while internal facilitation offers benefits related to cost, engaging a consultant provides an objective, well-structured process and allows administration to support the strategic planning activity while maintaining that focus on delivering our priority work already underway, such as the investment readiness initiative, external financial audit, which will be occurring in Q1, the community policing plan, and preparing for various 2026 procurement activities. So with that in mind, I suppose we shouldn't move forward until we have a kind of a resolution on what we're doing with those additional costs.
Okay, great. So does council have any questions for Amber? We'll start with questions, and then we can move in with any discussion.
Through the chair. So basically the $15,000 is the same if we do it or whether we hire it out.
An opportunity cost is not necessarily cash.
Right.
Whereas we're paying him cash. So it's same but different. Like the value in our time spent is equal to $15,000. So it's taking that amount of time away from doing other things is kind of how you would compare the two in that value.
I think it's almost double sorted there. Like you take time away to do that. So you're doing a function,
Yeah.
but you're also not doing
That's right.
this over
That's
here.
that's
Yeah.
like essentially what an opportunity cost is.
Yeah.
It means, we're not able to do A because we're focusing on doing another strategic planning session.
Right.
So
Did that answer your question?
It does. I have some value in like keeping things internal, but they'd obviously do a really good job at it too.
Any other questions? Okay, any discussion that anybody wants to have before we go into vote? Okay, personally, I think I'll be voting for going with a consultant because I think our staff, because we have so few staff, it's important to keep, those horses driving forward on the projects that we have and that are important. And this also gives opportunity, if we hire an outside consultant, to have senior admin around the table and having input into that strategic session. If they're doing of the doing, it's a lot harder for them to be a part of that and, kind of be sitting with council, helping us along the way. So that's just my opinion. Any other comments?
Through the chair.
Councilor Brennan?
I suppose I'll echo that. I see the value in this. I think it's really valuable, like you said, have things keep moving over here, get that engagement and not have to have people step away to try and accomplish multiple things with this much time and not much resources.
Anyone else? All right. Who would like to make a motion?
Through the chair.
Thank you.
What?
Councilor Nielsen.
So I move that we
Retain?
the assistance of a strategic planner or consultant
sure.
Okay,
for council's 2026-2029 strategic planning session.
okay. By show of hands, is there anyone opposed? Looks like we're good to go. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So now I think we'll just move into tonight's task, which is going through the capital plan. So the capital budget is a critical component of the town's financial plan, guiding the allocation of resources for investments in infrastructure and assets that support growth, safety, and quality of life for the community. The 2026 capital budget outlines funding for new construction, maintenance, and replacement of municipal assets, including roads, public buildings, utilities, parks, recreational amenities, equipment, and asset assessments that support future investment strategies and decisions. The projects that form the 2026 capital budget have been separated into categories that provide greater clarity on their purpose. These categories include asset replacement, the process of removing and replacing aging, obsolete, or non-functional assets with new ones to maintain operational efficiency and avoid future failure or downtime. Asset maintenance refers to the ongoing activities and tasks aimed at preserving, repairing, or servicing existing assets, such as equipment, buildings, or infrastructure, to ensure they may remain functional, safe, and efficient over their useful life. Asset improvements involve enhancements or upgrades to existing assets to improve their performance, extend their lifespan, or meet new requirements. Asset assessment, the process of evaluating the condition, value, and performance of assets to inform decision-making. Assessments help identify needs for maintenance, improvement, replacement, or investment. New assets refers to newly acquired or constructed assets that are added to our organizational portfolio. And new programs and initiatives. This is the introduction of new strategies, projects, or services within the organization. So when we review our capital budget, roughly 88% is focused on maintaining the infrastructure we already have, covering repairs, replacements, and upgrades that keep our systems running smoothly. The remaining 12% is invested in creating new assets. These investments are about the long-term growth and sustainability of our community. Unlike our day-to-day operating budget, which covers regular services, the capital budget is about building and preserving the town's future. The capital budget is funded through a combination of provincial and federal grants, reserves, and other financing tools, all while maintaining debt at a sustainable level. The town strives to use funding methods that minimize the impact on the community and support long-term financial stability. The funding breakdown for the 2026 capital budget is shown on the slide. So the Canada Community Building Fund is a federal funding distributed to communities through the province. It provides conditional grants for capital projects that meet program rules such as roads, bridges, water and wastewater systems, and recreational facilities. Funding is based on population, with every community receiving a base amount. In 2025, Crossfield received just over $305,000 from CCPF. The local government fiscal framework is Alberta's main program for providing predictable infrastructure grants to local governments. Municipalities decide which projects to fund with LGFF money, as long as they meet the program's basic eligibility rules. For 2026, the town expects to receive just over $626,000 from the LGFF fund, about 1% more, or $7,870 more than we received in 2025. LGFF will make up 14% of the town's capital budget funding.
Just a quick question on that.
Mhm.
You compare 2026 to previous years when it was MSI, not LGFF,
Through
and are we still at a shortfall?
through the chair, it was LGFF in 2025 was the
Yep.
first year of that program. And it wasn't a substantial increase over the year before, but I think that the funding amount is still shy of where it the funding level is short of where it used to be historically.
Right, thank you.
Okay, other grants. So we have plans for $337,000 in strategic transportation infrastructure program grant funding. And that's anticipated to support the completion of the bridge file 75095, which is the project on Western Drive that we'll talk about later. This represents 5% of our capital funding. So long-term debt, we also plan to use borrowing to support two major reconstruction projects, 185 meters of McCaskill Drive from Maple Avenue to Iron Landing. It's a section and a section of lot the Lott Avenue project, which includes deep utilities and upgrades to the bulk water station and the RV dump stations. Long-term debt will fund these improvements, accounting for roughly 33% of the town's total capital funding for 2026. Offsite levies. 8% of our capital funding comes from offsite levies. These are fees collected from developers to help pay for new infrastructure needed when growth happens, like roads, water, and wastewater projects. In short, growth helps pay for growth. Reserves are funds, as we all know by now, set aside to help keep the community stable and sustainable. They act as a safety net for unexpected costs and also help us pay for long-term infrastructure so we can properly maintain our assets over time. For 2026, $1.44 million of capital funding will come from reserves. Overall, reserves make up 23% of our capital funding for 2026 compared to 31% in 2025. And finally, other funding. We also have a small portion of funding from other sources representing the $25,000 Craft Hockeyville Prize Award the town received in 2025. While it's a modest amount, just 0.4% of our capital funding, it directly supports upgrades to local recreational facilities. So,
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Amber, for switching back.
Yep.
So I brought 2025s from last year.
Mhm.
And just was comparing, and I was looking at the amount of, debt that we're gonna carry this year. From the 8% from last year, long-term, that was 2025's model to 33, it's a big jump, like a very, substantial. Looking forward into 2027, do you think that, if we put 2027s on there, what do we think that the long-term debt is going to increase much more than 33% going forward?
through the chair, I know one of the things that we are hopeful for in this budget is that we can achieve success through other grant programs that would directly reduce the amount of debt that we would be pulling. Of course, we don't have at this point 100% confirmation, so we can't bank on it, but we can keep, hope for it, I suppose. But we wouldn't want to balance our budget on hope, so we definitely have that the real debt component built in. With some of the projects that are in our the future years, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So as administration, we'll have to work hard on figuring out creative ways to fund all that work and or ways to, implement it over time so that it is manageable, because there are those limits. So we have to remain within them and be cognizant of the impact. So
I have one last question before we move on. Have we looked at any other municipalities and what they're, kind of where they're sitting at? I know we always compare ourselves with, other things like, how much taxes we pay, how much this.
mhm.
Do we ever compare ourselves of, how much debt load they're carrying? Like,
Yep.
we did,
Mhm.
but, all of their other, reserves, are we comparable? Are we?
Well, if you're all right, I'll just back up to, I think, the last slide from
Mhm.
last night, just to kind of revisit some of that
Yeah.
stuff. So bear with me. Okay, it wasn't the last slide.
Yeah, I think it was like,
Oh, gosh, it's quite a ways
quite a
up
ways.
there. Okay, just,
That's okay.
oh, this one here.
yeah,
So this picture this slide represents, where we're sitting with our reserves. It gives us an idea of like what did we say, like the health or the remaining book value of our assets. So what asset condition, like we can make assumptions that maybe our assets are a little bit newer, or we've been investing in them because we have on the books they look better than some of the other comparators. But on our books, we do not look better as far as our, like our debt limit. Our ability to borrow is higher than most of our comparators, and our reserve position is, looks like it's about average, but it's, you know, we have these constraints that exist.
Yeah.
So that's what, we're presenting a capital budget that in 2026 that address some key critical infrastructure work that needs to happen. And, just managing that as responsibly as we can.
Yeah, and I think the choices that were made in the past, we're maybe trying to catch up to, the choices that we're making for the future and getting in a better position on, a chart like that or, on here.
Yep.
So
Through the chair,
we
absolutely.
want to shrink that debt one down as much as we can, so we're not paying, that interest. So.
CEO Barney.
Yeah, just to add to that, Amber, one of the challenges that we are seeing is that the town adopted, I guess, participated in deferring a lot of maintenance historically. And when it comes to maintaining assets, and that's why we're trying to bring, be a little bit more proactive in the maintenance of our assets now. When you defer maintenance beyond a certain point, it notably increases the overall cost of ownership of that asset. So we'll be looking to improve upon that and be a little bit more proactive as we move forward and advance more on our asset management side.
Yep.
To the best of our ability. But like Amber had alluded to, we definitely do have some financial constraints when it comes to our debt limit, as you pointed out, Deputy Mayor Gustafson, and the reserves that we are working with.
Yep. All right, thank you, Amber.
Good. No. Yep. Just gotta get myself together here to figure out where I left off. Okay. All right, perfect. So each of the capital projects that follow have been categorized based on a prioritization matrix. So projects should meet most of, but not necessarily all of the criteria in each priority, at each priority level. So priority one, projects are required to address urgent infrastructure issues or critical town needs. They are required to sustain access to essential services, quality of life, or public safety. They address legal risks, environmental concerns, or support mitigation of potential liabilities. They're required to meet operational needs and or maintain existing service levels. And the community has demonstrated a strong support. Finally, funding is within the town's financial capacity and or it can be supported through grants or other partnerships. Priority two, supports community and or infrastructure needs, however, can be delayed up to 2 years without significant risks. Improves access to essential services, quality of life, or public safety. Supports mitigation of potential liabilities. Has been identified as an area of interest by the community in prior engagements. Funding may exceed the town's financial capacity and or can be supported through grants or other partnerships. And finally, in priority three, projects identified as a priority three level, support operational efficiency and or address a community desire, improves access to essential services, quality of life, or public safety, may support mitigation of potential liabilities. Community support is unclear. Funding exceeds the town's financial capacity and no grants or partnerships are available to support the initiative, and it's not identified as a core municipal function. So only priority one projects with confirmed funding are included in the budget totals. Items listed as unfunded are presented for council's consideration and would directly affect the tax rate if approved. So as I go through the capital budget, I ask that any items council wishes to discuss further be noted at the end of each project category. Once all capital projects have been presented, we'll then review any projects flagged for further discussion in order. So as long as that's, and everyone understands, okay, great. So let's get started. Okay, the replacement of existing assets category. We have the peace officer patrol vehicle dash camera. So the current CPO patrol vehicle camera is obsolete and is at risk of failure. The 2026 budget proposes replacing it with a modern supported system that integrates with emergency equipment and provides passive recording and can be transferred to a new vehicle in the future when that asset is upgraded. And there has been a 15% contingency included to cover potential cost increases. Community Hall ice machine replacement, replacing the outdated ice machine with a new commercial unit, improving efficiency and ensuring reliable ice for all users. This project is unfunded and is not included in the 2026 capital budget. Computer purchase and replacement program. The town's computer purchase and a replacement program is providing new and upgraded devices to ensure staff have reliable, up-to-date technology. This year includes new laptops for 2 of the new positions, upgrades for several existing staff, and repurposing some older devices to manage costs efficiently. Street sweeper. This project is to replace the town's aging street sweeper with a used unit in better condition and with fewer operating hours. McCaskill Drive reconstruction. So the McCaskill Drive project will fully reconstruct the road from Maple Avenue to Iron Landing to municipal standards. Work includes engineering, full depth pavement replacement, improved drainage, geometric upgrades for safety, and establishing a proper road right-of-way. The reconstruction will create a durable, safe roadway built to last 20+ years. Bridge file 75095. This project involves replacing the culvert on Western Drive near the golf course. Preliminary engineering is underway to design the new constructor and apply for funding through the Strategic Transportation Infrastructure Program. The portable industrial steamer. The town's portable industrial steam cleaner used for cleaning frozen drains and cleaning equipment has reached the end of its life cycle and needs replacement. And finally, Lot Avenue reconstruction and deep utilities. So the Lot Avenue project expands the original 2025 sewer main replacement project to include water main upgrades, road repaving, improved drainage at the bulk water station, and reconstruction of the RV dump station. Design work is underway with $1.1 million previously allocated, an additional $3.58 million to complete the full project. So are there any projects from this, from the replacement of existing assets that council wishes to dig into a little deeper?
To the chair.
Go ahead, Councilor Vincent.
So these estimates, if I'm looking at, say, the street sweeper, McCaskill Drive reconstruction and the bridge, like if reconstruction, like how certain are we that these costs are accurate? Like, do we feel that, and I'm gonna use like a scale, like a high degree of accuracy, you know, kind of medium and kind of low degree because we're not 100% sure. So how,
You want to do it?
because like I see the round numbers, right? 200,000, 500,000. So that's why I'm asking the question.
Through the chair, Councillor Benson, yeah, certainly they're not tender ready numbers by any stretch, which is why they're rounded numbers. So we develop our numbers through a variety of means. Some are staff estimates. So I have a number of spreadsheets where I put together estimates based on previous projects that we know, unit price schedules that Alberta Transportation publishes in the city of Calgary. We also get engineering reports done on a lot of these items. So for instance, bridge file 75095, we have a preliminary engineering report that suggests what the capital costs would be there. So we take all that information in, we typically provide a contingency on top of it to provide a budgetary number. And usually we just round it off because these aren't tender numbers. They're not down to the dollars and cents, certainly. And so what happens is when we go out to construct these things, we go to tender or we go to RFP, and then we get the more detailed finalized costs from the contractor and the consultants that would fall under these numbers, hopefully. So we do spend a fair amount of time coming up with these numbers. Some of them are more certain than others. Sometimes we have some design work done and we know more certainty on them. And sometimes we have less design work done on them and we add a bit of a higher contingency perhaps to those ones to ensure that things come within budget.
To the chair. So question on the Lot Avenue, which is like a big spend for the town, obviously, right? So there's engineering work already done on that?
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Benson, we do have a preliminary engineering done. So those numbers are based on a higher level engineering estimate. It's not quite our tender level estimate yet, but it's fairly close. So those numbers are a lot more certain on that item there.
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
Amber, can you just kind of expand on, I guess, the intent behind this is creating placeholders and for refining this into the, I guess, at a later date in the March, April?
Through the chair, the capital budget typically is approved at this time. There can be some, if more information comes forward, we definitely can bring it back in the spring for final approval. But, if any project, so typically, we would only fund a project up to the total cost that it was. So if it came in below the budgeted amount, then that's all the transfer to the reserve, or that's all the debt you apply for type thing. You wouldn't, like, your funding wouldn't exceed the actual cost. And if in any time we determine that the budget is insufficient, then we would be back here talking to council and, with bringing more information and having those discussions.
Okay.
So.
Right. So really what you're saying is the difference between capital budget and the operating budget is we have to put in an interim operating budget by December 31st. And then by, I think it's the end of March or the end of April, we have to have our budget approved.
There does need to, through the chair, the MGA states we do have to have our budget passed, like a budget approved for January 1st in order to
Right.
do business. And if we choose to amend it, we can, and there are certain timeframes upon which we have to submit tax rate bylaws and stuff like that. So that gets driven by, that's typically why we would do a spring adjustment is for those updated assessment values and
On the operating side.
on the operating side. Typically, I would say the capital budget is approved, but if there's any changes that come to light between now and spring, and that's a lot of time, we get a lot of information on a daily basis. So we would definitely refine it so that it was the most accurate representation of the work that we're doing.
And then, just for some of the new counselors too, if say all of these by some miracle come in under budget at the end of the year, then we would have a choice to put those funds into reserves or.
Through the chair, our reserve policy basically says that if the capital project comes in below budget, then those funds just remain in the reserve.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Same as if we carry forward budget and the project ends up being under, we don't need the full amount that we carried forward, then the policy also directs how that carry forward balance is reinvested in our reserves.
Great. Just a question, it's probably for Director Nash. Just on the Hall ice machine, I realize it's at a level 3. How bad is it And can we limp it along for another year or so?
To the chair, it can probably make its way through another year for, yeah, that's why we put it as a level 3. It does need to be addressed at some point, but it's not dire right at this
Okay,
point.
great. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, through the chair, on the Lot Avenue, wastewater. This project, when I was doing some reading later on, this project appears to be like also deal with our needs today and then into the future. Because is that our main line to our, where our wastewater treatment, is that where it goes to?
The chair to Councillor Benson. So that main sanitary line conveys about 2/3 of the town's sanitary wastewater essentially to the west lift station, where it's then pumped to the anaerobic cells. So yes, it's one of our it's a critical piece of our sewer infrastructure.
And how old is that?
It was built in the early 1980s. I'm not sure exactly which year. It's between 40 and 45 years old. We've done camera inspections on that line. So we did camera inspections back in 2017. We were able to camera the line then, although there was sagging noted in the line at that time. And then camera inspections were done again last year in 2024, and the line has sagged bad enough between some of the manholes that it's now full of sewage essentially at all times, even in the middle of the night. And so we know it's a deteriorating asset that does warrant replacement. And then you're right, it is with the replacement, we are planning towards the future. The town has an interest to service areas east of Highway 2A, the industrial areas out there. And that is the main conveyance route for many of those areas, for I think 3 out of the 5 quarter sections to be conveyed down Lot Avenue. So the pipe would be upsized to service those areas. And then the intent would be to recover some of that debt through offsite levies as those areas begin to develop. Levies would then backfill some of those debt payments for the town there.
To the chair. So the timeline that this asset would be in place now would be far into the future, correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Benson. So just to clarify, like once it's built, what its lifespan?
Once it's built and in service.
Yeah, typically those lifespans are around 50 to 60 years for that type of asset.
To the chair, my dad got me this job years ago. They encouraged me to go to school and down in Bonnybrook and working for the sewer department. Some of those sewers are over 100 years old. So then, and that was a lot of years ago. So
Yeah. So the chair to Councillor Benson, again, we've done CCTV camera footage of the line. We know it's deteriorating. Sometimes infrastructure doesn't deteriorate all at the same rate. Depends on soil conditions, depends on what's going on, depends on maybe the loading. We have some water lines in town that are probably approaching 80 or 90 years old. We may even have some older sewers in town that approach that kind of age. But we know this line as a critical line, again, conveying probably about 2/3 of the town's wastewater. We know it's deteriorating. We were able to camera it again in 2017. And now, 7 years later, we've seen additional sags in this line, meaning that it's deteriorating. So administration does believe it is an important project to move forward, not just to serve existing residents, but also to position ourselves for future servicing and development and growth within the town, kind of on an east side of Highway 2A.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions or
Through the chair,
go ahead?
the bridge to Steve. Is this replacing a culvert with a culvert, or is this replacing a culvert with a bridge?
Through the chair to Councillor Kosh. So currently it's a bridge-sized culvert is what they call it. So it's about 2.1 meters wide and about 1.6 meters tall. It's an arch pipe structure. We just completed the preliminary engineering for this just a couple weeks ago. They're recommending replacing it, I believe, with a 2.2 meter culvert. So we're not going to replace it with a standard bridge. It'd be another culvert.
But it is a corrugated steel culvert.
That's right. Yeah, the one benefit to this project, it fits well under the province's strategic transportation infrastructure program. So we're going to apply for that grant funding. That's due next Friday, essentially. So I'm working hard to get that into the province. That would provide funding for 75% of that project.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're hopeful that we will receive 75%. The culvert is in extremely poor condition. It only has a sufficiency rating of 22%. Some of the steel's missing between the bolts. It's an important item for the town to address and would rank highly, we believe, in the grant program.
Yeah, I understand it. It definitely, like I read through it, says it's got 22% of its life left in it. I understand it needs to replace. It's just for 450 grand. I pictured a Golden Gate Bridge style structure as opposed to a steel culvert. So I understand, thinking about that.
Yeah, and again, so what goes into engineering project like this isn't just the construction. We've had to complete preliminary engineering this year, which we did under the engineering operating budget. We also have to have an engineer on site to design and then manage the construction as well while it's ongoing. This particular bridge needs a little bit of land purchase on the north side as well, so there's some of those costs there too. So it's not just straight construction costs. Sometimes there may be utilities that need to be moved and things like that. So there's a number of ancillary costs that sometimes come along with these projects, not just specifically the construction costs.
Great.
Through
Go
the
ahead.
chair, I just have one more thing back, actually, going back onto the Lot Avenue reconstruction. When we originally talked about it and, you know, because it was part of helping expand for over to the east side, I didn't see, I don't remember the mention of the RV station, which is now and the water, the bulk water station. Was that just added to it because it's just kind of as we were at that area? And there's some problems there already. We just thought, okay, we're in that area already. Let's add and then some.
Yeah, through the chair to Deputy Mayor Gustafson. Good question. I believe we had a little bit of, I think we had some nominal money in the 2025 budget. We talked about repairs to the RV bulk station. We've included it more formally in this
Yeah,
project now.
okay.
We're going to be there doing a lot of the same work right there on Lot Avenue, right by the town shop. We thought it was a good opportunity to address some of the issues at the bulk water station. We see severe icing. There's lots of water infiltration issues ruining the infrastructure there.
Yep.
We thought it would be a good opportunity to piggyback off that Lot Avenue project to address some of those issues and the safety issues at the bulk water station. I think if council, you know, chooses, we can take a look at that bulk water component of that project. It certainly does add costs onto this project, but we thought there was a good synergy there to address some of those issues at the bulk water for our customers there.
I agree. Yeah, if you got the gear right there already, and you're not the demobbing and mobbing, you know, just that cost alone is you know, can be high, and if you're already there, might as well fix it. So
Agreed.
We don't want to dig things up more than once.
Through the chair.
Councillor Brandon.
I'm just so curious, like, I don't know, there's obviously not much we can do about it, but why is a peace officer patrol dash cam $21,000? Are we beholden to some specific purchasing group or some very proprietary camera?
Through the chair to Councillor Brennan, it is a lot of money for a camera system. They are a specialized system. They integrate in with the emergency response equipment in the car. So they automatically turn on when the lights are and the siren or both are activated.
Mm-hmm.
They passively record all the time. And then so when those lights are turned on, then it automatically goes back 30, I believe it's 30 seconds. It's not just one camera. There's a forward camera, there's a back camera as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this will also include storage of the footage. So
Right.
try and just quickly look through my information here as well. Those are the main
Right. Yeah. I
the
figured
main items within it. It is a big item. There's only a few options for them.
Yeah.
So, and the other, I guess the other important thing to remember too is confidentiality of the footage and security of those cameras and the footage. So, if you just buy a regular dash camera off of
Dash.com.
Amazon, for example, yeah, it'll record the footage,
Right.
but they're very easy for someone else to get that footage, whereas these are very high security cameras.
Fair enough. I appreciate it. Figured it was something like that. It was just curiosity.
Okay, any other questions or comments for this page?
Through the chair. I just have a quick question about the McCaskill Drive reconstruction, mostly for clarity, again, probably for Steve or Kinza. I know the area, I know it needs work. It's a little gravel patch. Being that this is for new construction, was it not the developer's responsibility, or was this not planned to be there?
That was my question.
The chair to Councillor Kosh, that's a good question. I think normally we'd see that kind of infrastructure built by the developer, as that it leads directly to the development. My history on that road is a little unclear. I believe it was ultimately built by the developer, or at least partially built by the developer back in the day as a more of emergency access. That road hasn't really ever been formalized. It actually just sits on park space right now. It's actually not in a road right of way. I think what we're seeing is that road has deteriorated significantly. We have that gravel patch, obviously that everyone's well aware of. But we also see subgrade and asphalt failures further north now with the alligator cracking in the wheel path on the northbound lanes. So that whole road is going to continue to deteriorate at a significant rate, I think, in the coming years. So I think what we're proposing to council here is that the town takes some action on that. We don't know when the developer is going to come back with their next phase. And we would typically pin that type of infrastructure on the next phase of development. So the developer may not be back for years, and that road is not going to last that long. So I think what you're seeing administration propose is that the town take initiative there. Obviously, we've allowed that road to be there. And so we have some skin in the game to be sure, because there's residents there already. We haven't pinned that on the developer, but to also do some debt funding on that road and then update our offsite levies to ensure that we do see recovery for some of those costs with the developer as they proceed with the development there. So it's kind of it's certainly a delicate balance, I think, for that road, but I think there is definitely a need to address that.
Because it's technically a park.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Kosh, part of the project would be to actually establish the official right of way for that road. So that would be considered within a road right of way. It's an unusual piece of infrastructure, to be sure, and it doesn't drain very well. It's just why we're seeing issues at the corner with the gravel, and that's why we haven't taken larger action there. Because we could repave the corner, but I would suspect we would lose it within a year just because nothing drains. It just all sits in that corner, right? So.
Thank you.
Through the chair. And one suggestion, if we do go ahead and repave that is, we need to make sure we're taking care of that road very well and pull the heavies off of it. Because that's their direct access right now. We may have to look at that because, we're gonna put a lot of money into that, and the heavies are gonna be on there. And we know what it's already happening right now, so. To service that development.
Yeah, and through the chair, Deputy Mayor Gustafson, the timing's probably decent, I guess, for repairing that road because they're mostly done their phase 5. So most of the heavy traffic on that road should be diminishing as phase 5 builds out there. There's 20 or so lots remaining. And certainly going forward with phases in Iron Landing, we will need to be working closely with the developer on an appropriate haul route for their heavy vehicles. So definitely point taken. And that'll be something we look forward to definitely addressing with the developer in future phases there. It's beneficial as they work more towards the north side of Township Road 290 that becomes more a viable route for their access, although that's through the counties. They'll have to work with the county on a road use agreement likely there, right? So.
All right, thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Right. On to page 62.
Just thank you, Mayor Harris. Just to confirm, like, we've had our good thorough discussion, so we're not gonna save any items for the end. Essentially, I'm okay with that. If that's okay, let's just do it that way. And this is great. Very good.
So sorry, just one thing, Amber. I would say if there was anything that council wanted to come back to at the very end to provide any different direction to administration on, then please just flag it for us and we'll come back to it. I know we can have the discussion as we're going through.
Okay.
But if there's anything that we think the council feels there might be a motion that would adjust the capital budget, then please just let us know. So we don't lose sight of those things.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody have anything they want to remove off of here for further discussion?
The chair, it would just be that, just confirming, like, we're removing the place machine? Or that was not on there to be.
No, it's a number 3, so it's not in the capital budget anyway.
Okay, just clarify.
Only the number 1s are.
Perfect.
Yeah, so
Okay.
really, we don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Just leave it.
Through the chair. Amber, you've got this little box down at the bottom here on page 60.
Yes.
Just for the residents listening, for council's context, every $100,000 added to the budget will have the following correlating impact to the ratepayers. $3.75 monthly increase for resident taxpayers based on an average assessed value of 450. Can you just explain that just a little bit?
Yep.
Just,
Okay, thank you. Yep, through the chair to Councillor Nielsen. Absolutely. So as we spoke yesterday, when we got to that slide with the 6.5%, it equaled $10.88. So that $342,000, that there's the shortfall, now 352,000. Basically, in order to, so that's a part of the revenue requirement, as you'll hear that word, and that's the revenue required to be raised by through property taxes to fund our budget. So when that increases, that's technically what a tax increase is. It's increasing that money, that the money we need to collect through property taxes. It doesn't necessarily mean your property taxes are going up 6.5% or whatever that is. That just isn't how that quite connects. But through, so basically that $3.50 or so is taking the assessed value of, or is taking the $100,000 multiplied by the tax rate, and that would be like $36 or something like that a year. So for every $100,000 of assessment, there's about, $100,000. Oh, I'm getting mixed up now. $100,000 added to the budget, it equals about $36 a year per average household, assessed at 450,000. It's quite a complex thing to kind of like wrap your head around, but basically, just showing what that impact is to each, like to a typical residential property.
And once we pass the budget, we send out, this is how your tax dollars are being sent, kind of messages with different charts.
Yep.
To the chair, that's just the Crossfield portion too?
That's the municipal property
Municipal-
tax.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, yeah, we're not even going there with the
Yep.
education and the Rocky View Foundation, just because we don't have control over what that amount, what that looks like.
Excellent, good questions.
Thank you.
Maintenance and repair.
Okay, great, thank you. So in this category, we have the arena, dressing room, shower, and vanity upgrades. So dressing rooms 1 through 4 require urgent renovation. The project will modernize the showers with new tiles and fixtures, upgraded doors and hardware, and will replace outdated vanities with new sinks, mirrors, and plumbing as required. The Pathway Repair and Replacement Program. So this is an annual program, and it ensures safe, well-maintained pathways. In 2026, funding will be to replace deteriorated asphalt on priority sections, including Collins Crescent, Limit Ave, and Lot Avenue, with root barriers installed where needed to prevent future damage. The Sidewalk Repair and Replacement Program is another annual program which addresses safety hazards by repairing and replacing damaged panels. Repairs such as grinding are done when possible, while severely damaged, deteriorated panels are replaced. The program alternates focus each year between repairs and replacements. The wastewater facility desludging. A contract will be hired to desludge anaerobic cells 1 and 2. A recent survey found these cells were partially filled with sludge, which can cause odors and reduce wastewater treatment efficiency. So Does anyone have any questions on the maintenance and repair of existing assets? Or would you like to just say sludge?
Can you say it one more time for us?
Sludge.
Any questions?
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor?
We'll start on the sludge.
Ding.
You knew that was coming. And you probably know what the question is when was the last time we desludged the wastewater?
To the chair, Deputy Mayor Gustafson, 2009.
2009. Okay, so, and is that consistent? And the time before that, are we kind of on pace of the timing we need to do it?
To the chair, Deputy Mayor Gustafson, I'm not aware of our desludging practices before 2009. I think certainly that's a 16-year gap
Yep.
between desludging, so
Yep.
it's probably time.
Probably help.
It should help with the odor as well from the ponds.
Yeah.
Our anaerobic cell 1 is about, I think it was about 50% full of sludge currently. I will state to council that there's a few different ways that we can desludge the ponds that we're exploring right now. There's the physical removal of the sludge through mechanical means, which is the quote. This was a quote from one of our service providers that we have here, rounded off to be a little nicer for the budget. But there's also biological and chemical means to help with the desludging as well. So we're in discussions with a couple of our service providers to see what the best method is. The chemical and biological means to desludge take a little bit longer. They're usually a few years of the program, but the costs tend to be lower, but the results are less certain. So we're trying to suss out what the best way to achieve what our objectives are. So.
Yeah, and maybe what, I guess to think about is, we do have the desludging and then have a program where we, that chemical or anaerobic or whatever we can use to help or kind of extend the period between the mechanical desludging process.
Yeah, I think the chair, Deputy Mayor Gustafson, I think that's our thoughts as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Perhaps, it's mechanical this time and we up our chemical and biological action to maintain it at a better level going forward to minimize that mechanical or physical desludging.
Yeah. And I just had one more question on all of the costs throughout here. We have just 15% contingency, correct?
Through the chair, I would say it was more on a case by project basis, looking at more of the risk tolerance.
Okay.
Like we're fairly comfortable with those, the pathway and sidewalk
Yeah.
repair projects, so it's just like that $50,000 of work, that a body of work that we do,
Yeah.
do every year and
Yeah.
stuff. So not every project would have a contingency. Some may have more than 15%, depending on how, some of those more risky engineering costs. But I would say also that's why a lot of our budget is based on doing a design first and then
Yep.
a build second, just so we can get more accurate numbers to work with.
Perfect, thank you.
If I may, to the chair, Deputy Mayor Gustafson, I think you'll see things with probably the pathway repair. I don't want to speak for Director Nash, but certainly for the sidewalk repair, we just do as many sidewalks as we can for $50,000.
Yeah.
Right. So it's,
Yeah.
it's not really a contingency on there. We just say we got $50,000. How many sidewalk panels can we replace? Right.
Yep.
And then some engineering projects like the bridge or the Lot Avenue, there's contingency built into that because we don't know what the tender costs are going to be.
Yep.
We have a defined project with a defined limit, and
Yep.
we need to do the whole thing. Where some of these are, if we can do 100 meters of sidewalk, that's great. That's what we do. Sign the thing, right? So.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Anyone else?
Through the chair.
Counselor Cost.
The desludging, this quote is for the $175,000. That's for manually removing the sludge, right? Like sucking it
through the-
out and trucking it away.
Through the chair to Councillor Kosh, that's correct.
How, I roughly Googled this and I was just looking for confirmation. The volume of sludge, roughly. Do you have an estimate?
Through the mayor to Councillor Kosh, not right now on the top of my head.
This was like hundreds of truckloads when I did some basic math on it.
Yeah, and so we're looking at, I think, a couple thousand cubic meters. Each truck will take maybe 10 or 15 cubic meters, right? So yeah, we're talking hundreds of truckloads of
Yeah.
sludge. Typically it's land applied in agricultural areas.
Okay.
And so the town owns an agricultural corridor, so we'd likely dispose of it probably on our own agricultural land there and in part in coordination with our leaseholder.
Okay, so it would be cheaper because it's close by and we're not paying for like landfill fees.
Yeah, that's right. We're just driving across the street.
Okay,
basically.
okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense for the price.
Although you would be surprised, we might have you might be able to find a buyer for it.
To the mayor, perhaps. We'll keep our eyes open.
Not kidding.
Fertilizer.
That's it. You can sell anything and anyhow,
Put it on Craigslist.
that's right.
Free
No.
lunch.
Not mine, no.
Not your Craig.
I've done that before. No, I'm not interested.
You know what they,
Right.
through the chair, what they say is one man's fudge is another man's treasure.
It is true. It's true.
To the chair, and just a point of interest, like invasive species, what pond is that in? And what, it's a fish? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Benson, we believe they're Prussian carp. So similar to goldfish. I guess technically you need to do genetic testing to confirm which is which because they can look very similar. We just call them Prussian carp for now. It makes it easy. They're in our effluent storage cell. So we have our 4 anaerobic cells, our aerobic cell, and then we have our effluent storage cell. They're in our storage cell.
One by the dog park?
The one across to the west of the dog park,
Okay.
or I guess to the southwest of the dog park.
I still
big-
don't
the big-
advise you fish from that pond.
Do they eat sludge?
Fishing dirty.
So when the polishing
Win-win.
polishing unit is done, is that a concern, kind of, because that would be one pond going into another pond, correct?
To the chair to Councillor Benson, we'll be pumping from the polishing unit into the storage cell. So there's no concern from them swimming against the pump or surviving going through the pump back into the polishing unit.
Okay.
Yeah. So the rest of the system is relatively isolated from the creek. It's just that the storage cell is connected to the creek for 21 days of the year when we discharge into the creek. And it's a gravity discharge. So they either simply swam up into the pond or they were deposited there by other means. So.
Like a bird.
Well, I guess they could be in all the ponds if there's birds,
Mm-hmm.
depositing them in the ponds. The other ponds are less likely for anything to be living in them other than microorganisms. So
All right.
Okay.
Council's good with this page? Are we good to keep all those? Okay. Moving on.
Okay, moving along to asset improvements. So in this category, we have the arena front door and bleacher accessibility improvement project. So in 2026, handicapped accessible front doors and push button operators will be installed on 4 doors. And the staircase with a landing will be installed to improve access in the stands. Funding includes the 2025 Craft Hockey Bill Prize, and the front doors are planned for full replacement in 2027. The west lift pumps, that's why you see future capital costs associated with that project. The west lift station improvements is a new pump will be installed in 2026 to increase capacity for growth with a digester system added in 2027 to manage fats, oils, and grease and to reduce maintenance costs. The cemetery expansion, design, and construction. The town will design and prepare a 3.3 acre cemetery expansion south of the existing site, including grading, landscaping, columbarium, foundation, and concrete runners for the headstones. Design will be completed in 2026 with construction in 2027, and we'll be using cost-saving strategies like sourcing clean fill from local developments and projects in order to bring that cemetery area up to grade. Township Road 284A resurfacing. The town, in partnership with Rocky View County, will design and reconstruct the driving surface of Township Road 284A. A geotechnical study identified weak soils in the existing embankment and provided design options. In 2026, a transportation engineer will review the study and recommend a design. Construction of the chosen design is planned for 2027, with the initial cost estimates based on gravel resurfacing. Oops. Any discussion on these projects?
Questions or discussion? If there's nothing, can we put a check mark on that one? Alrighty.
Asset assessments. We have the fire service master plan. So this is a two-phase project, which is underway to enhance fire services. Phase 1, the community risk assessment, was completed in 2025. It analyzed current and future fire risks. The next phase of the project is the fire services master plan, and that'll be completed in 2026 and provide a 10-year strategic plan with prioritized recommendations. The total project cost is around $63,000, and it's under the approved budget because this project, the multi-year project, was technically approved in 2025. So the new budget is less than that originally approved budget, and the remaining funds from the phase 1 project will be carried forward into 2026 to help complete the fire services master plan. And the sanitary sewer main condition assessment. This project is intended to inspect aging sanitary sewers using CTV, manhole inspections, and acoustic sonar technology to identify defects, blockages, and structural issues. So similar to the conversation that was just had regarding that line through Lot Ave. Data will be analyzed, rated, and used to prioritize rehab needs with recommended actions and estimated costs. The existing condition assessment completed in 2020 has been a valuable tool for helping administration prioritize improvements to the sanitary system. So this project is unfunded and not included in the 2026 capital budget. And the preliminary dam assessment. This project is intended to retain an engineer to conduct a preliminary assessment of the town's 2 dam facilities. One located at the golf course and the other one is west of town, used for the fish pond water diversion. The assessment will identify future inspection and maintenance needs. The West Dam spillway is in poor condition and may need removal, potentially affecting water diversion, pending further review. So this project is also unfunded and not included in the 2026 budget.
Okay. Questions? Okay, Steve, I just have questions just on the dam assessment and the sewer main condition. Is your intent to put that in the budget for 2027?
To the chair, yeah, I think we would show it again in the 2027 budget if it's not included in this budget. For this, I guess just a little bit of context, the sanitary sewer condition assessment, with the replacement of the Lot Avenue sanitary sewer, the town will have completed the replacement of all the poor condition pipes that were identified back in 2017. So the town's done a good job of investing into the sewer system. And so effectively, we won't know where to go next for the next sanitary replacement. So it's suggested that, while a beneficial project for next year, understand the context of a fairly large capital budget, that we feel like it could, probably pick up where we left off kind of in 2027 to start to assess other pipes throughout town to inform some of that work. And then same with the dam assessments.
Okay, so the dam isn't so bad that,
To the chair, I don't believe that the dam structures themselves are they're 2 earthen dams that the town owns. I don't believe the earthen dams themselves are at any risk. The west spillway, the spillway at the west dam structure, which is what feeds the fish ponds, is in extremely poor condition. And we may need to work just maybe under the operating budget to just assess that with Alberta Environment next year. But we felt it was prudent that the town recognized that we have two dam structures to begin with. So I'm not sure the town has known that. And then to have them inspected. They're low risk, considered low risk structures, and it's essentially up to the town to decide when to inspect them. I doubt that they have ever been inspected. So we thought it would be prudent to at least have a dam engineer take a cursory look to advise us if there's any work that the town needs to undertake there. So
great, thank you. All right. No other questions? If everyone's good with
Just a quick one. Where are these dams? And
Through the
like,
chair.
apologies, through the chair. Where are these dams?
To the chair, to Councillor Kosh, one located on the golf course lands on the south quarter section there, so actually out in Rocky View County.
Okay,
It backs up that tributary to Nose Creek so that the golf course can pull irrigation water out of there. So there is a dam structure there. They're just earthen structures, so they're just earth embankments. You're not going to see a big concrete Hoover Dam or anything out there, but they're basically just earth embankments that hold back water of a certain size and capacity. The West Dam structure is just west of town. It feeds the fish pond, so if you kind of follow Nose Creek to the west, you'll see a bit of ponded water west of town, and that is effectively where the dam structure is. Kind of a weird kidney shape, kind of directly west of our anaerobic cells.
yeah, they're right in there.
I'm sure that will be part of council's tour in the new year.
Yeah, if you like. Someone's installed electric
We get it too.
wire at the one dam, so we need to get that removed first. Everyone's gonna get zapped.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, if there's no further questions, is council good to approve the one priority under asset accessories? Okay, great. New assets.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor Harris. So under new assets, we have, I think this will be the third year of the AFRAX radio system upgrade. So yeah, it was initiated in 2024. And this project upgrades and standardize critical communication within the town's fire service to be able to communicate with mutual aid partners. In 2026, the department will continue replacing their current outdated radios and purchase new radios to ensure that reliability remains in the fire service. Recycling and waste cart procurement. So new residential growth requires additional carts. Carts are needed to maintain the service levels of the curbside pickup. So this program also replaces some lost and damaged or end-of-life waste and recycling carts. Water meter procurement. This annual program provides and installs water meters for new residential and commercial connections, supporting accurate billing, efficient water use, and responsible management of the town's growing water system. Costs are recovered through a water meter fee. So we do charge for new meters in new properties or new businesses. So that first meter is recovered. Community entrance directional signage. Directional signage will be designed for the Limit Avenue entry, guiding residents and visitors to new communities, community facilities, and business areas. Design is scheduled for 26 and construction to follow in 27. This project is unfunded and not currently included in our budget.
Just clarification on that one. Is the 15,000 in 2026 unfunded?
Yes.
Okay.
The lagoon polishing system and aeration cell transfer pump. The town will design and construct a polishing treatment system to improve effluent quality and enable a second annual release to Nose Creek, nearly doubling wastewater capacity. Design is planned for 2026 with construction to follow in 2027. Using offsite levy funds and potential grant funding, an application has been submitted to the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, and another application is underway for the Alberta Municipal Wastewater Program. The chosen system will balance performance, cost, and maintenance, extending capacity to 2040, when it is projected the town will reach winter flow limits. Vista Crossing Phase 5, sanitary sewer oversizing. As part of the Vista Crossing Phase 5 development agreement, the developer is required to oversize a sanitary main to accommodate flows from Hawks Landing and Iron Landing areas. The developer is entitled to cost recovery on the oversized portion of the main. Since a portion of the benefiting area includes completed development, the town will share in the cost of the oversized sanitary sewer main. A one-time payment of approximately $25,000. However, we've increased that to 30 just to add a little contingency, will be remitted to the developer after construction is complete.
To the chair,
Counselor Benson.
the lagoon polishing system. I know that I did watch the video and I believe it was in July where the presentation was made. I'm just guessing here. But they use Leslieville as their example. And Leslieville is a community of about a couple hundred people. And one of the ladies I used to work with actually is from there, so I'm pretty familiar with that. So is there other locations that have used that system to, to prove that it's viable?
To the chair, to Councillor Benson. So that system was used as an example of something that the town could do. We still need to go through our technology selection phase. So that might not be the polishing unit that we go with. We had
Okay.
hired Magna Engineering to assist us in achieving essentially a letter of authorization from the province to begin to look at a polishing unit and to secure a second discharge to Nose Creek. We used that the lagoon augmented biofilter system as an example of a technology that could work for the town. The Leslieville example, and you're right, Leslieville is about 150 people, so much smaller than what we have here. It's a little bit different because they're taking raw sewage into that system, so it's their whole system for the entire little hamlet there. Ours is a bit different in that we already have a full operating lagoon system. This is going to be a piece that's going to be inserted into that treatment process to do some polishing for us. So it's actually going to be it's going to be on a smaller scale in Leslieville because we're just looking for it to do some treatment after it leaves our aerobic cell. So it's a bit of a different system. It would be, if we'd go with technology like that, it would be a pilot project for that type of technology for sure. So it's not necessarily an accepted technology with Alberta Environment right now. It would be a pilot project for that. But administration's intention next year is to go out first for request for qualifications for that project and to initiate basically a design build where an engineer and a contractor would get together or a supplier or a vendor get together and propose different technologies to the town for the town to select within our budget to add as a polishing unit to the system there. So it'll be a fairly robust procurement process for that.
Further questions?
Through the chair. The
Counselor
items,
Kosh,
the items that come up as unfunded, would we be voting those into the budget?
if you want to.
I don't with this
So, okay.
one. Okay, I don't think we need a sign coming into our community for $100,000. Like most people know where they're going.
Just a little background on that. We have had considerable push from some of the business community on signage, directing them to different areas where businesses operate in town. My question on this though would be, do you need to do this over 2 years? Can we push that 15,000 to next year and being it's a priority 3 and the project can be done within 1 year instead of over 2?
To the chair, I think that's entirely possible. We could spread it over 2 years, maybe generate some options, talk a little bit more with council and see if council wanted to pull the trigger on a larger capital plan in 2027. I don't see why I don't see why it wouldn't be a project that we could complete in 1 year.
Yeah. So we can just leave it as is and next year you guys can come back with a proposal. Okay. All right, everybody good? This one, leave it as is? Okay. Thank you, Amber.
Okay, our final category are the new project or initiatives. So in this category, we have the Safe Road Improvement Program. So I think this is the second year of the Safe Road Improvement Program, where we enhance pedestrian safety, accessibility, and traffic flow, focusing on high traffic areas, school zones, and active transportation routes. So the improvements combine engineering, education, enforcement, and community engagement to create safer, more accessible pathways for residents. We also have the new land use bylaw. The town will develop a new land use bylaw to align with the 2025 municipal development plan, replacing the outdated 2018 land use bylaw and correcting errors and inconsistencies to ensure clear, effective application for development approvals. Finally, we have infrastructure master planning and the update of the offsite levy or an offsite levy review. So the town will update the 2020 water, wastewater, and transportation master plans to reflect over 20% population growth since the originals or since they were originally developed. We've got new infrastructure and emerging challenges to address through an updated master planning document. The 2026 update will include a capacity review for roads, water and wastewater systems, and stormwater facilities, with results informing a comprehensive offsite levy update in 2027 to ensure equitable funding for required infrastructure. That's
Looking for
those are the
questions?
projects. Yep.
Awesome. Any questions on this area?
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor?
On the new land, on the land use bylaw, the cost, is that a combination between our, like, the company that we use right now, Urban Systems, and staff? Is that where we're getting that number from? Or is that just strictly Urban System cost?
Through the chair, Deputy Mayor Gustafson, that would be typically strictly consultant costs for
Okay.
that. We worked with Urban Systems to come up with that estimate.
Yep.
That was their suggestion, having done similar work in other communities. It would be a competitive opportunity where we go for proposals,
sure,
so it wouldn't
yeah.
necessarily be Urban Systems, obviously due to the value of it. We would look for as competitive a cost as we could get.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay. Council okay with leaving those number one priorities in the budget? Great. Good job, Amber. Thank you.
Okay, well, that concludes my presentation of the 2026 draft capital budget. Yeah, so from what I understand, the proposed projects as included in the budget, there hasn't been any changes to that. Is there anything that council wishes to continue discussing at this point?
Through the chair. I just, cause I'm privy to the 2025 one, and I was trying to compare some, what we were doing here. And I noticed like a couple of things, one on the asphalt overlay program where we had budgeted, and I know Steve is grabbing his mic on that one here. So there's that one. And then what we had done on the back to the sidewalks, we went from 50,000, then we went 51. So now I see that we've revised that to 50 straight across every year now, just to, some color onto that.
For sure, through the chair to Deputy Mayor Gustafson. Unfortunately, our asphalt rehabilitation program did not get off the ground this year. There was some confusion with our engineer, and unfortunately, we only secured one response for our request for qualifications, which should have been a request for quotes. So unfortunately, we had a little bit of a project management issue late summer, kind of early fall, that kind of precluded that program from being completed this year. So our intent in council later is to carry forward those funds to next year to complete the work we intended to do. Given that it's a fairly large capital program, we decided not to add on another round of asphalt rehabilitation, but to focus on the work that we had planned to do this year. In terms of the sidewalk improvement program, again, a large capital program, we just kind of evened it back out at $50,000 instead of raising it up every single year. That was just kind of done for inflationary pressures. We just evened it back out at $50,000.
Yep. I just wanted clarification because I saw that, that 1 year was missing the asphalt, and then it continued on, but it continued, it jumped to, what did it drop to, 200, I think, for 27, is that right?
Through the chair, Deputy Mayor Gustafson, I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I
It
think,
goes
yeah.
to 200, add a little bit more
Yeah.
in there.
That's good.
It gets us an extra patch,
For-
basically.
For sure, I know what it does, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I'm good with that, so. That was the only thing really that I jumped out on me is where I drive and where I walk, I guess.
Right. All right. Any other questions for Amber? before we close?
Through the chair, regarding the sludge, if we approve like the $175,000 in the budget, that doesn't constrain you to doing that as opposed to the enzymes or bacterial solution? Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Kosh, I think with all capital items, administration strives to provide the best value. So for a lot of these budget items will be going to out for a competitive market. And we strive to bring everything in below cost. For the sludge specifically, like I said, we are investigating whether biological would work. I think our leanings are towards kind of our discussion that I had with Deputy Mayor Gustafson there was, it's been a long time. We might want to physically remove the sludge now and then increase our chemical management program through the operating budget to manage it at a better level. You also saw that there was a request next year, perhaps for a digester at the West Lift Station. And so 98% of all our sewage goes through that West Lift Station. So that digester will also help to manage the sludge loads as well. So yes, certainly we look for what's the most cost effective for the town in all these projects.
Yep.
All right, anything else? Okay, good job, Amber, once again, and everyone else.
Thank you very much, Mayor Harris. It's been a pleasure presenting the capital and budget to you guys tonight and operating last night. And we look forward to recapping this again in a couple weeks on December 2nd at the regular council meeting, where we'll be looking for approval on the decisions made in the last couple nights.
Awesome. So all we need tonight is to close the meeting. Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn at 7. No, that's not right.
No.
27. Out of here. I can stick time.
90.
Oh,
Okay. Thank you.